down to write my retiring address, I had no idea what I wanted to write it on. Because I'll be honest with you, it bothered me that this was the last thing that I would say to all of you, and I wanted it to mean something. You see, I would sit down at my desk, take out a new notebook, grab a new pen, and start to write. I'd get a ways into it, hate how it sounded, tear it out, crinkle it up, throw it away. Next day, I'd sit back down, start writing again. Get just about the same ways into it, hate it again. Tear it out, crinkle it up, throw it away. This went on for about a week. And I'll be honest with you, my trash can was just about full. So I decided I needed to change my game plan. I went back to speech writing 101. You know, where they tell you to look for inspiration in quotes, stories, anything you can find. So I did just that. Sitting at my computer one day, and I came across a quote. And it said, "From this day forward, treat every person you meet like they will be gone at midnight. Extend to them all the care, kindness, and understanding you can muster. And do it with no thought of any reward. Your life will never be the same again. I promise." Did you hear me? From this day forward, treat every person you meet like they will be gone at midnight. Extend to them all the care, kindness, and understanding you can muster. And do it with no thought of any reward. Your life will never be the same again. I promise. You see, what happened next wasn't a miracle, nor was it a huge change of heart. Instead, my world came crashing down around me when I got a call on March 7th that would change my life forever. You see, I've always been a big believer that everything happens for a reason, and that God doesn't give you more than you can handle. But the night that my dad called and told me one of my classmates, teammates, and a girl I very easily called my sister, was in a terrible rollover accident and had lost her life, I lost all faith. You see, I couldn't understand how such a sweet, loving girl could be taken away at just 19. I couldn't wrap my head around it. That night was probably the longest night of my life, because I laid there in shock without any understanding of what was happening to me. Because at that point, it was a dream, a really terrible dream. You know, like the one where you jump off a cliff and you're just about to hit the ground, but then somebody wakes you up and everything's okay? Yeah, that one. Except this was real life, and there was no waking up from it. That week passed in a blur, and I don't remember much, but I remember I cried. I slept. I cried, and I slept. Seemed like that was all that I could do. And I remember waking up on the day of the funeral knowing I was about to face one of the hardest days of my life. And as I sat there, I was listening to the readings. And the first one said, "Age has nothing to do with the amount of years that you've lived, but everything to do with the amount of lives that you've touched and how much you lived and the amount of time you're given." I let that sink in for a second. Kayla's was 19, yes. But as I looked around, I realized that in those 19 years, she touched more lives than most people do in 90. You see, God didn't take her because he was punishing us. She simply had done everything that he needed her to do. That crazy cowgirl had a smile that could light up a room. And her smile will be what everyone remembers her for. She could bring everybody to tears because we were laughing so hard. And I'll be honest with you, she's one of the main reasons that I stand before you today. Because she was my right-hand woman when I needed somebody to fly a kite with me up and down the hallways because I was so nervous about my state officer interviews. She was a once-in-a-lifetime friend, and she was gone before midnight. I realized at this point there was no point in being mad at God, because the only person I could be mad at was myself, because I let this consume me when I really needed to let it drive me. You see, I realized that there was a reason. I may not like it, and it may not be fair, but there's always a reason. I needed to use this and make this my story. I never lost my faith. I simply started to doubt it. You see, in life you're going to be thrown curveballs. Something will come flying in out of left field, and I promise it'll hit you so hard that you won't know what to do with it. But I'll also tell you, it's in those moments of weakness that you'll find your true strength. Because it's okay to cry. It's okay to be hurt, and it's okay to be upset. But you can't unpack and stay there. Find something in it and use that to drive you. Use that and make that your story. Make them remember you for your strength. Leave no doubt that from this day forward, you're going to love a little harder, hold people a little tighter, and show them exactly how life should be lived. Because I promise you that each second is not an accident. You're given each and every day to make the most of it. And I've learned firsthand that tomorrow is not guaranteed. Live like Kales did and make life your own. Don't worry about what people think. Because I'll tell you, if they're meant to be there, they'll find a way to stay. Just trust that you're doing everything you possibly can. And God will take care of the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, take a step back and look at your life right now. Because if you're anything like me, there's somebody in your life that you don't tell them nearly enough how much you appreciate them. So I challenge you, before midnight tonight, find that person. Call them, text them, email them, do whatever you have to do. But before midnight tonight, make sure that they know that you appreciate them. That big or small, they changed you. And most importantly, above all else, make sure that they know that you love them. So Wyoming FFA, from this day forward, treat every person you meet like they will be gone at midnight. Extend to them all the care, kindness, and understanding you can muster. And do it with no thought of any reward. Your life will never be the same again. I promise.
I just have